Bases dropped on a new week of Soccer's morning show, Soccer Down Here. John here, you there. I know what Mondays and sometimes Tuesdays are all about. Go ahead. Go ahead and put it in the queue. I figure that's what today is. Morning, David. And whatever's on your mind, let's get it out of your system, because the last thing I want, and this is something that I say traditionally here, last thing I want is for you to hang on to something. I had folks that that were DMing me this morning saying that they were not going to say anything this morning, and I said that's never the case. I don't ever want that. We may respectfully disagree on things. Doesn't matter if it's philosophy, personnel, the weather, what I'm wearing. Doesn't matter. Absolutely doesn't. I would rather us be in a situation where we are having our opinions out there, and for those of you in the Twitch pitch, to have a back and forth and, hash things out and have conversations amongst yourselves and, discuss what's going on in your head. Because the last thing I want is for you to hang on to something. I'm not and I don't know when this changed, but I really don't like hanging on to negative energy, and negative energy doesn't do any of us any good. Traditionally, it doesn't. So the last thing that I want for any of you is to hang on to negative energy any longer than you feel you should. It can be a motivator, sure, but to sit and stew and have the steam coming out of your ears for the second day in a row, if you include, or a third if you include Saturday night, no. I don't want that for you, because it doesn't do anyone in your universe any good. And I think the sooner that you get things off your chest, the better I think you feel. I mean, I do. I hit a point where I'm just like, filter, nah. But whatever's on your mind this morning about what happened on the weekend could be, and it doesn't necessarily have to be Atlanta United. It could be it could be what's going on in the Prem, could be any other club. I don't care. Get it out there. Get it off your chest. This is, I think it might have been David who was discussing the doctor is in. I feel like, and I'm not even charging you nickels or dimes. Just get it out. Get it out there. Get it out. Just out in the open, whatever's on your mind. We'll go ahead and start the queue early on. Abe Gordon's set to join us, unless he's boycotting. Because remember what happened last time. Abe was debating a boycott until fortunes change. So Abe might be with us. Garrett might be with us. Drew might be with us at 10:30. And so we'll see what happens. But get it off your chest. That's what we're here for. Honest discussion and discourse, whether it's Twitch pitch amongst yourselves, with you or me or whomever. Get it out there. Alex, good morning. Morning, Tom. Morning, Hutch. Just like I said, get it out. Get it out there. That's what we're here for on these days. Just get it out. That's where we are. Let me get to opening kickoff before Abe, unless he's boycotted. Let me get to opening kickoff before Abe visits. And it is brought to us by our friends at Kickoff Coffee, kickoffcoffeeco.com. That's your QR code for those of you who are watching. However you're watching this morning, whether it's on Twitch, it's on our YouTube channel, or it's on the 280-character app. Lay it all out there, right there. That's your QR code. You click on that. You start your day with Kickoff Coffee. Don't forget to use the code SoccerDownHere15. You get 15% off your purchase. They, in turn, take 10% and roll it over into youth initiative stuff that they have thought of as very, very cool things to continue to grow the game. That's our friends at Kickoff Coffee and kickoffcoffeeco.com. I know a lot of folks are looking at what's going on in England and in Germany, and right now in Europe, they're getting toward the end of their seasons, the lower divisions especially, and you're seeing teams at the end of the Bundesliga being relegated. Sheffield United got relegated with matches to spare. They could be the most porous defense in the history of the Premier League by the time it's all said and done. We saw some races going right to the end of the day in the lower divisions in England, and so I'm going to tell you a story. It's story time with John. This will be the the fun this morning before we get into opening kickoff, and I'm going to let Abe properly hydrate before he hops in here in a couple of minutes. There's a former player for a team that was playing in League One in England, and they didn't have the best of years, and they were relegated from League One. They'll be playing next year in League Two, and it's the team Port Vale. And Port Vale, they were, fighting as best they could. And, traditionally, when you're trying to, do well and get promoted and all these kinds of things, or at least stay afloat, you're trying your damnedest to try and stay up. In League One, which, if you want to put it in minor league baseball parlance, League One would be like Double-A baseball. Port Vale got relegated. They were in a fight. I mean, the team that was at the bottom of League One, they were, 11 points away from everybody else. Port Vale had a chance, but they finished 5 points from safety. Finished with a record of 10, 11, and 25 in 46 matches that were played in League One. So they didn't make it, and they needed some help on the last day of the season. There was a former player for Port Vale by the name of Ryan Burge. And Ryan, on his, it looks like the font is Instagram, or it might be Facebook, depending on the font. But this was Ryan's post on his account. And here's what he said. Wow, just landed. Thank you to the Stoke City fans who paid me to do something I would have happily done for free. A bit of shaky takeoff, but I put that down to the excitement. However, once I got her up in the sky, it was smooth all the way from there. And shout out to my instructor, Jeff, who was guiding me all the way. And the okay emoji. This is an experience I will cherish for the rest of my life. Fail Park looks like an even bigger ish hole from the sky. Hashtag no promotions without me. And there was another hashtag that we're not going to mention. Here's the hook on Ryan Burge. Ryan Burge used to play for Port Vale. And Ryan hates Port Vale so much since they let him go. Understand, your employer lets you go. You're going to hate him. So what Ryan did is he flew a plane over their Port Vale Stadium on Saturday with a banner mocking the relegation from League One. He got a pilot's license just so he could do that. So literally the guy he's like, I'm going to get a pilot's license. Why? I want to fly a banner over my ex-team stadium and make fun of them for getting relegated. Ryan Burge did both of those on Saturday. So Ryan Burge gets a pilot's license, and in the new king of pettiness, I think he set a new record for petty. Getting a pilot's license just so he could fly a plane with a banner behind it, mocking his ex-employer because they got relegated. So Ryan James Burge, you can check him out on social media. But yeah, got a pilot's license just so he could fly a plane to fly a banner mocking his team that got relegated that he no longer works for. That's Opening Kickoff, brought to us by our friends at Kickoff Coffee and kickoffcoffeeco.com. That's your QR code for those of you who are watching us, however you're watching us this morning on the 280-character app, whether it's there, if it's on YouTube, or if it is on Twitch. Don't forget, use the code SoccerDownHere15. They, in turn, take 10% and reinvest it into youth games, youth initiatives. Very, very cool stuff from our friends at Kickoff Coffee and kickoffcoffeeco.com. All right, it's that time. I filibustered to 9:15, and the properly hydrated Abe Gordon now gets to join us. Are you properly hydrated, sir?
I have. I'm going for a run with the dog right after we chat here, so I had to make sure I get a little electrolytes and hydration, and we're good to go.
Understandable. So congratulations on the hydration, and obviously any time with the puppo is good time with the puppo, because the head security officer in Office HD is hanging out right down here out of camera range. So I completely and totally know where you're coming from. You had Saturday night late to think about it. You had Sunday to think about it. And now it is Monday morning. And now what else is stuck in your brain after the post-game show and the goalless draw up in Chicago? And we can get into various topics as we go. But off the top of your head, what is the overarching thought in your brain after the draw?
Well, look, it's tough to look at this as an individual match. You have to go back 3 weeks to the 2 games at Mercedes-Benz Stadium in which you drop points, because it all ties together. And this was supposed to be the match that gets you back on track. This was supposed to be the match where you recapture some of the points you lost against Philly and Cincinnati. And quite frankly, that didn't happen. And it wasn't necessarily a poor performance, but it is a poor result. And look, it's a point on the road, like we've talked about it before. Going on the road in MLS, trying to get a result, it's difficult. But quite frankly, this was a situation where you felt you were a superior team to the Chicago Fire, and you were not able to get the points that kind of put you back on track. So whether or not it's a point, whether or not it's a draw, you did keep a clean sheet. Congrats to Efrain Morales on his debut. But it feels incredibly disappointing to not be able to kind of get back on track. And it's just frustrating because we've been talking all week about how this felt like an opportunity to get some points back. And ultimately, you didn't do that in Chicago.
And since you mentioned Efrain Morales, I'll go there. And you want to talk about someone who basically, there's always the thought in your head about how the news is delivered. It's like you get a knock on the hotel room door or something, Efra, and he's told that, by the way, you're starting tonight. And Efra really handled himself well. I know that the header at the death is something that is going to stick with him for a while, but from a defensive standpoint, Efrain Morales continues Atlanta United's run as center back and he just stepped right in. And Noah Cobb still there was a different health issue apparently this time around, but just not feeling well. Efrain Morales steps in. No concerns in match number 1.
Yeah, no, he looked pretty good for the most part. I mean, the first thing that you see from him, if you haven't watched him with the twos, is just the physical stature. He is an imposing figure. He comes in and does get it done physically from a different manner. He won a lot of headers defensively, and then obviously the one you mentioned as he came up late to try and find a winner. And it was there to be had, too. The winner was there, but just a little off target on that one. But I think it was a good learning experience. Honestly, because I view Chicago the way I do, and quite frankly, they don't scare me offensively. It is a perfect game to bring someone in for their debut. They're not having to face a nightmare attack or some sort of individual maestro who can get it done up top. And so this was a good welcoming gift for Efrain Morales in being able to handle that. He looks strong. And like you said, I mean, you got Noah Cobb, you got Abram. Gregerson seems very close to being able to return. I actually thought if this game played out differently, you do see Gregerson in the final 20 minutes. I don't think you bring him back into action of a scoreless game or a 1-0 game. But if you were able to get up 3 or 4-0, like Chicago had been down in recent weeks, maybe an opportunity to get him to run there. But kind of obvious decision not to bring him in at that point. But yeah, Efrain Morales is just another guy who, and look, we've seen it multiple times now from Noah Cobb. We've seen it one time from Morales. We need to see it a couple more before I start to have full confidence and faith that there's no step down, stuff like that. There was one situation where Kuipers almost got his foot, put it onto the crossbar. Morales was there. He needs to deflect that ball. He just, the timing was off. And I don't even know if that's something you can learn or just an unfortunate situation, but he's got to do something more to create disturbance there. And maybe he created enough by whiffing because he wasn't able to put it on target. He did hit the crossbar there. But, I thought a very strong debut from Efrain Morales. And he probably knew beforehand. It probably wasn't as chaotic as maybe it felt to us in terms of just Noah Cobb's he's not even on the reserves. Like, what's going on? Like, we got the lineup. You're like, well, hold on. What's happening now? Because a lot of our question was obviously about what's going up on top at the left, and because we knew Sean De Silva was going to be out. We didn't know Noah Cobb was going to be out, but I'm sure they had talked about it over the course of the week, both because of the migraine situation. We don't know if this is going to cramp back up, but if it does, here's the plan. But also just, the illness that he was dealing with, whatever little bug he caught, I'm sure it didn't just catch him 5 minutes before game time. They had to know that was a possibility. So I'm sure he was a little more prepared than he would have been a week ago.
Numbers for Efren Morales on the day: 5 clearances, a block, a pick, 3 for 5 on his aerial duels, called for a foul on 1, 92 touches, 77 of 82 passing, 94% accuracy, and then obviously the one shot on target. He had the one block and the obviously the one big chance missed. But you look at 94% on his passing, and you end up with 3 of 5 on your duels, 5 clearances on the day, just dropping right back in. But yeah, we saw it with Noah Cobb. Noah Cobb, once again, unflinching with his activity at the back, and first returns for Efren Morales pretty much the same. And one other guy that I wanted to talk about defensively was Bartok Slish. And a lot of folks, if they're looking below the first level of Atlanta United, and they're focusing on all the shiny objects, you look at a guy like Bart Slish who comes in, and he has been, I don't want to say it's a sneaky, maybe for the rest of Major League Soccer, it's a sneaky pickup. But for Atlanta United, Bart Slish has been the master of lockdown so far defensively here in 2024.
Yeah, it's an interesting position for Slish because it's just almost always going to be one where you kind of disappear in the game, right? Because everyone looks at the back line, the clearances, the last ditch effort, slides, block shots. And so those guys get a little bit of a glory every once in a while. Certainly up top, you get glory, creating chances, running at guys, taking on, and obviously tallying goals or assists. They get glory up top. He's kind of a lost man in this situation because there's not a lot of glory to be had by the role that he plays, but that doesn't make it any less significant, any less important. And like you said, the glory that he takes is by watching the other team's attack fall apart in the part of the field that he is dedicating himself to, or whether it's a specific opponent, limiting what we've seen from that guy in games coming into versus what he does against Atlanta United. So it is an incredibly important aspect of this team. And there have been almost no complaints for me or my co-host Garrett Chapman in regards to the performance of Bartosz Slić. Still kind of waiting for him to have one little moment of offensive genius where he kind of gets one. But if that doesn't come, so be it. The importance there of holding the defensive midfield together. It's just one of those things you don't talk about enough. You're always kind of going to underrate because statistically, he's not up front. He's not the last line of defense, but he's kind of in there controlling it all. And it's just really, really important. There's no doubt about that. He's played an outstanding role all season long, really. Really from the very first moment that he stepped on the pitch for United, he's been very strong.
And second highest rating from our friends at SofaScore on the day. Thiago Almada was an 8.6 on the day. Bart was second with a 7.7. 88 touches, 88% passing accuracy, 2 long balls on the day, 2 successful dribble attempts. These duels numbers that we talk about are nuts. 12 of 17 in duels, 9 of 12 on the ground. So he won 9 ground duels, and he won 3 of 5 in the air on the day. And he was fouled once, 2 clearances, 2 blocks, 2 picks, 6 tackles for Bart Slić on the evening. So just some crazy numbers when you break all that stuff down for Bart. And once again, as we start at the back and we work our way forward, and you end up with Tyler Wolff, Saba, Thiago, Gigi obviously not 90 minutes fit. And then you're looking at the Dax McCarty quote from Doug Robertson of the AJC: when you don't start the same lineup game after game after game. Dax says, I think it's hard to get that continuity and those connections, especially with a couple new players that we brought in. So, once again, Gigi trying to get back to 90 minutes fit, that he would play 127 minutes out there if he was able to, and still trying to solve what's going on the left wing with who can be over there. Is it Tyler and Mosqueda, Saba moving over, still having these questions with folks not 100% and not taking the reins?
Yeah, a tough go for Tyler Wolff again, and really for all of them as you continue to change lineups. But a couple of passes that were there to be had for Tyler Wolff that just didn't quite get completed, maybe a little bit behind, stuff like that. But I did think this was actually one of his better performances. But you still don't get that feeling of fear that you do as a defender, as when Giakoumakis is running at you, or certainly when Saba is running at you. So, look, the chances were there. This is, and I had said this on Saturday night. It'd been a little while since we talked about a goalie just standing on his head, making saves he has no business making. And on another day, in a different setting, maybe you're able to get 2 or 3 by him. But that was not the case today. He made a brilliant save early on Saba diving to his right. He made another great save later with Almada on a free kick. And then obviously the Daniel Rios header. I don't love the idea to head that near post. Just as you see the goalie sliding, like, don't let him slide into the save. You want to make him force direction change. But I think Rios thought he had some timing there. It was a good header too. He got some good power behind it, but right at him, unfortunately. So he made a trio of really good saves that on a different day maybe do get by and touch the back of the net. So, it was a scoreless draw, and you're frustrated from that perspective, but it was just one of those days, and we've seen it so often for Atlanta United. Just we hadn't seen it this year, but a goalie just blindly standing on his head, and so that was unfortunate. But the attack was there, the finishing wasn't, and you do also wonder, as you mentioned, like if Giakoumakis is playing 90 minutes, if he is playing, or what ended up being 102 minutes or whatever the number was.
Right.
Do one of those finishes get completed? Maybe that's possible. But you have to kind of go with what you had. It was there. The XG for a scoreless game at 1.5, and I'm not a huge believer in XG because I think those numbers are wonky.
Right.
But being at 1.5 and ending up with 0 is still pretty frustrating. And I mean, you go back and look at some of the chances that were had, including the one off the crossbar towards the latter stages of the match. I mean, the goals were there. The final touch, unfortunately, just was not. And so the build-up, the creation of moments, I don't think was overly lacking. And so you do have to be pleased from what you saw from that perspective. But in the end, it's results-based. And I don't care how many chances you create if you can't create one goal. And ultimately, you come home scoreless with 1 point.
Chris Brady on the day, 5 saves officially. Really should have been 6. I have no earthly idea, and I've got to track this down. I have no earthly idea what the AR on the near side was doing.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like I said, I've got to do my research and figure out which AR was on which side. But there were times where you're scratching your head going, okay, what was that call? What was that call? What was that call? And the fact that we're drawing attention to ARs fresh off of a labor dispute, that's something that you got to, keep an eye on as well. But Brady on the day, 5 saves officially. Should have been 6, but once again, the AR pulls a big save away from him when Brady went full extension to his left early on. Goals prevented, 1.73. There's your margin right there with those 5 saves. Yeah. 1.73 goals prevented. You end up with 4 saves inside the box, 7 long balls on the day, and then everything else is a 0. But you see the 5 saves that really should have been 6. Goals prevented from Chris Brady, 1.73. And our buddy Hutch here in the Twitch pitch is not wrong. Our team's superpower is transforming opposing goalies into the MLS version of Mr. Fantastic. Not wrong. I always have Kenneth Vermeer in my head when it comes to goalies turning into Mr. Fantastic. For those that didn't get the chance to listen to the post-game show with you and Jarrett Smith, what was the overall vibe in that immediate reaction once the match was done?
Yeah, I mean, look, people heard it whichever way they wanted to hear it, but we were incredibly frustrated. Like I said, we had talked all week about this being an opportunity that you felt good about going on the road and getting a win. I almost never am going to suggest that Atlanta United is going to go on the road and get a win and that be the expectation. Just because I do know it is difficult, and we found that out Saturday night. But this did feel like the right time and the right circumstances to get back in line. So very, very frustrating that they were unable to do that. look, some listeners may agree, some may not. There's a lot of focus on Gonzalo Pineda here and a lot of frustration being heaped down on him. And some of it I understand, but some of it, to be frank, like I really don't. Like, I don't think it's Gonzalo Pineda's fault that Efrain Morales' header isn't on net. I don't think it's Gonzalo Pineda's fault that a half volley goes to crossbar instead of the underside, or that Chris Brady stands on his head. And so I understand the frustration of not getting the points that we expect to be getting, whether it's at home in certain circumstances or even if it's on the road. But I mean, Pineda didn't turn the ball over on a short corner that led to a 90-yard counterattack. And it's very difficult for me to understand the correlation between blaming a manager and not putting any onus on the players. And quite frankly, I think you've played well enough now in 3 straight games to have results, and you've pretty much minimalized those results. Obviously, the Philly Union game and against the Chicago Fire, like, you played well enough. You didn't find the back of the net like you should have. That's just not on the manager. It really isn't. And look, we're going to get to a point where at some point you do have to get the results, and maybe it does become about the manager. But I didn't see it that way Saturday night. We got a couple of comments in that regards, which I'm just not sure I'm familiar with. But I think a lot of it just stems from the pure frustration that everyone is feeling, the entire fan base, because you said it, Jarrett said it, I said it, Garrett said it. Anyone you've listened to and said this is an opportunity to get back on track, pick up 3 points, and it just wasn't the case.
And I know that we passed 9:30, so Abe, you don't have to mute. Go ahead. It's perfectly fine. Go ahead and show the boss. Is the boss anywhere close?
She's on the other side of the camera. Come here, Chip. Come here. She lets her voice be heard.
Nothing wrong with that, brother. That's hilarious. So since we've cleared 9:30,
she's getting louder and louder.
That's because we cleared 9:30. Oh, very pretty girl. So since it's past 9:30, I know what the boss needs. And so what's the week going to be like for you? I'm going to let you sign off so you can get your laps in. So, because last thing we need is for Chip to be profoundly angry for any longer than necessary. So what's the week looking like for you, getting ready for another couple of home matches?
Well, it's going to be interesting because you're starting to work your way towards U.S. Open Cup action, which means you're going to be on a short week after the Minnesota game. But Minnesota is a team that is on a nice little run. They've got 5 goals scored in their last 2 games, both victories. And I think they're up to, I didn't check the final layout of the table. I think they're up to 4th in the Western Conference there. And so that's something that it's another very difficult team, but you do get them at home. We'll see how that plays out. And then also just some interesting thoughts about how the lineup may shake out for the match against the Independents when you hit the midweek. So a lot to focus on this week, but the first point of order is getting back to winning at home. That's something Atlanta United has done as well as anyone in the league, really, especially in recent years. And you probably need this one as much as you needed anyone at home because this 3-week slide, winless in the month of April. You got a couple points, couple draws, but that's not going to get it done. That's not putting the team where we expect them to be. And so a lot of business to take handle of Saturday night on 92.9 The Game.
Excellent promo. Yes, Minnesota currently is 4th, and it's only because they have not scored as many goals as Vancouver. Right now, they are in 4th place with 17 points, 9 matches played, 3 goals scored behind Vancouver Whitecaps. At 929 The Game, at Abe Gordon. Thank you for hanging out, as you always do here on Mondays to kick things off. Go get your laps in, my friend.
Happy to join, man. Appreciate it.
There we go. And so Abe's going to take Chip out because when Chip, wow. I mean, not that we don't have our friends that are vocal. But, yeah, when you hit 9:30, I swear, we hit 9:30, 15 minutes in the segment, and Chip was like, time. Literally, that is it. And so at 9:32, we tried to get him out. And so now Chip, gorgeous animal, by the way. So gorgeous animal there. But so that's Abe. Abe comes in and kicks off every Monday. To go back and put a bow on opening kickoff, since that seemed to attract a lot of attention. So, and get this. Apparently, this is a vendetta, as it was called by our friends at Football 365, against the club, suspended for 2 weeks back in 2013. That's how far back this thing goes with Ryan Burge and Port Vale. Left the team by mutual consent, reached an agreement on his contract. So Port Vale gets promoted in 12-13. And a fan site voted Burge one of the 3 players of the season, despite him leaving before the season was over. Suspended by Port Vale after he missed a pre-match meal, criticized the club on social media. The manager at the time said that Ryan didn't turn up for the pre-match meal, should have been at the hotel at 4:30, still wasn't there at 5:15, so what am I supposed to do? Quote, then he puts a load of rubbish on his Twitter feed. It's absolute nonsense, and he's going to be disciplined. Player Ryan Burge insisted at the time he was supposed to be picked up at a service station instead of making his own way. And this is back in 2013 when this beef started. And this is Burge's tweet at the time. For starters, the plan was for me to be picked up by the coach at Michael Wood Services. I never should have been making my own way there. After numerous unanswered calls and texts, the one time I hear anything back, it's a message to tell me to go home. I'm not needed. If you believe anything else, you may as well believe I was ill or late Saturday. This is all I will say. Then he refused to play for the club again. He says the player says that Port Vale breached their own non-disclosure clause by further defaming my name and providing poor character references to other clubs in a malicious attempt to put them off signing me, end quote. And so this is heavy duty stuff. Burge also applied for the managerial role back in 2017. And it was asked what was on the sign, and I want to say it was 4-card that asked. Let me go back really quickly here. 4-card. 4-card asked what the banner says. Following the relegation, behind the plane was a banner that referenced Stoke City's anthem, lyrics from the Tom Jones song Delilah, with the name of a Stoke City hooligan firm. The banner read, "She stood there laughing," in 40. And so basically, Burge went out of his way to get a pilot's license and fly a Tom Jones lyric behind a plane to celebrate the team that got rid of him getting relegated to League Two. So there you go. That's your rest of the story involving our new friend Ryan Burge and getting a pilot's license just so you could fly a banner when your old club got relegated. Now that's Opening Kickoff, brought to us by our friends at Kickoff Coffee and kickoffcoffeeco.com. That's the QR code for those of you who are watching, however you're watching, whether it's on Twitch, whether it is on the 280-character app, or if it is on the YouTubes. So don't forget, use the code SoccerDownHere15. You get 15% off your purchase. They, in turn, take 10%, reinvest it into youth games, youth initiatives, cool stuff from our friends at Kickoff Coffee and kickoffcoffeeco.com. Housekeeping. There's your scarf to help out the Marshall Islands Soccer Federation, and you can pick those up. And we have them here in the office. It is $32, and the money goes right to the Marshall Islands Soccer Federation. And fairly certain that you've got the jersey, fairly certain that you got the bucket hat. Now you can get the scarf to help out the Fed. $32. And that is if you want the Abstermobile to come and deliver it to you, or if you see me and you want me to deliver it to you in person. If you want it shipped, go to the post office. It's another $5. So 32 plus 5. Once again, all the money goes to the Marshall Islands Soccer Federation, and an opportunity for them to build a program from scratch as the last country on the planet to have a national soccer program. You've seen the stories, and we're going to be helping them out as long as we can. So there's your scarf to help out the Marshall Islands Soccer Federation. DM me, DM the show, email me, email the show, and we'll figure it out. We'll get it shipped to you. We've shipped to California. We've shipped to Texas. We've shipped to Alabama. We shipped to Colorado and our buddy Hudson. And so thanks to all of them for hanging out with us and being a part of building something from scratch to help grow the game. Also, our friends from Alliance Nurse Corps, I know I've got to get a better easel, or at least I have to get an easel. If your next nursing job is looking for you, our friends at Alliance Nurse Corps, you click on that QR code, and they ask, how'd you hear about us? You sit there and you say, Soccer Down Here. So 30 years of experience from our friends at Alliance Nurse Corps, making sure that if you want to go down that path, they know what's best for you. our friends at Alliance Nurse Corps, proud sponsors of everything here at SDH. Speaking of what's going on here at SDH, later today, a little before 6:30, today and tomorrow, it's quarterfinals action in the GHSA, and it is on our Mixler site, and it's also at soccerdownhere.net. And it is today Northgate at Jefferson. Northgate at Jefferson on the girls' side. A little before 6:30, we're going to kick things off. You can do one of two things. You can either go there on the web, soccerdownhere.mixler.com, or you can download the Mixler app, MIXLR, and you can listen to all of our live content there. Tomorrow, it is Dalton and McIntosh on the boys' side in the quarterfinals. Low left in your brackets. Dalton and McIntosh, two blue bloods to get to the Final Four in the class. Girls today, boys tomorrow in the quarterfinals. Semifinals are Thursday and Friday. When we have our winners from today and tomorrow, we will go and we will let you know where we're going to be for the semifinals on Thursday and Friday. Then the NFHS network takes the rest of it next week from Duluth and from Mercer and from McEachern. But today, Northgate at Jefferson, a little before 6:30. Airtime, Jason, Maddie, and myself will be there. And then tomorrow, it is Dalton and McIntosh at McIntosh, a little before 6:30 on air for there as well. Maddie will be hosting, and she will be wading you through the waters, getting everything set up for Jason. I'll be on at halftime and giving live scoring updates all night long. I'll be at the update desk for this week with Jason on the call, Maddie hosting, and we will get you ready for what's going on in the quarterfinals and the semifinals. And we might have someone joining Jason in the booth on Tuesday for McIntosh and Dalton. So a little before 6:30, Monday, Tuesday, it is Northgate and Jefferson today, McIntosh and Dalton tomorrow on the boys' side. Today at noon, soccer's in session live, and I'm hoping to find as many coaches as humanly possible to set up the quarterfinals. I've thrown out the bat signal, and it doesn't matter if your match is today or if your match is tomorrow. On the app, noon. Soccer's in session live, presented by our friends at Kaiser Permanente, and they have been great partners with us, and we're going to get you set up once again. Noon today, noon all the way Monday through Friday, that there are actions. So we might actually take Wednesday off, unless we recap Tuesday, which we probably will do. We might do a short show on Wednesday, but noon live, Monday through Friday, Soccer's in session live, and you get caught up on everything going on in the high schools. So that's where we are here today. Drew Dickinson, hopefully joining us in about 45 minutes, if he can find a place that is quiet and he can vent his spleen about everything going on with his beloved United. And we can discuss all of that and whatever else is on his mind with what is going on in the Brim. So we've got that. Once again, since it's a Monday, lay it all out there. Let me know what's on your mind. Go up, put it in the Twitch pitch, and we will go through all of it. And like I said, I don't want you to hang on to it because, once again, this week is another opportunity to get points on the board. Minnesota coming to town. Eric Ramsey, their new coach, who was finally brought in after how many months and weeks of trying to figure out what to do. They are a team in transition because Eric Ramsey likes to do things with youth on his roster, and he wants to do it with speed and pressure. He has some players that are on the roster currently that are older than he is. Timu Pukki and Michael Boxall. So what does Eric Ramsey do with those folks? You saw Timu Pukki coming off the bench recently. So we'll see what happens with Minnesota United coming to town and then DC United coming to town after that. So busy time next couple of weeks for our friends at Atlanta United. We're going to be following that all week long. Dell reminds me that we have to reset the number on the billboard. And it's disappointing that we ever have to do this. And it's disgusting that we ever have to do this kind of stuff. But we're going to have to reset the number of days without somebody being stupid. And this time it's in Major League Soccer. And Tom Bogert brought this to our attention. And it involves Corey Burke. Red Bulls forward Corey Burke decided, Red Bulls had their activity in the weekend in Major League Soccer. And so some numbnuts, and I'll call him that, that's perfectly fine. Some yahoo, some idiot, decided that what he wanted to do was reach out to Corey Burke in Burke's DMs. And after Red Bulls draw Vancouver, which is no small feat. And I have half a mind to check and see if this guy even exists or if he got blown up and was banned, which he really should have been. I'm going to try and dance around it with the wording as best I can. But it's on Tom Bogert's account. And if you want to read it in full, you can. 9:47 p.m., I imagine after the match is over. It's a 1-1 draw. Idiot. I'm not even going to identify him by his real name because his name is out there. Screen caps are out there. That's perfectly fine. So I'll let the screen caps and the other emails and the other DMs suffice. Like I said, if you want to find the guy's name and find out who he is, that's perfectly fine. In 3 sentences, idiot makes 3 incredibly racist declarations. And I'm not even going to repeat them because they're that idiotic. They're incredibly racist, and they're incredibly idiotic. A and B. And then after Corey decides to respond with, back at it tomorrow, looking forward to it, that kind of a picture, idiot comes back in, and I'm going to count with 30 emojis that are attached to the 3 racist sentences in his first submission. So you had that happen to Corey Burke. And like I said, I don't know if his account is still active. Mentions are still active. And it literally is an account that had traffic in 2012, 13, 14, and 15. There are individuals that have the gentleman's name, but none of them are tied to the account that was sending the racist, like I said, that's what they are, the racist stupidity to Corey Burke. So I don't know if the the idiot is still functioning, and apparently, and thanks to all of our intrepid folks that follow along here and try and track down these individuals. But apparently, this, and like I said, it's if it is this individual, like I said, you could have folks. Twitter account was 2012, 13, and 14 in just referencing it. So the Instagram account that is apparently tied to the alleged individual is still active. So the Instagram account that DMs Corey Burke, this gentleman, like I said, picture is there, name is there, everything matches. It's still an active Instagram account. And, you know, if this gentleman or anyone for that matter decides that, yeah, this is a cool thing to do, I'm going to show Corey Burke how I really feel by being a racist pig. It's disgusting. And I know that folks will, circle back at times and they'll sit there and say, well, why are you giving this kind of stuff air? Why are you putting this out into the sunshine? That's why. Because if you have this kind of thought running around in your head and you feel compelled to put it out there on the media that is social, as we say, freedom of speech does not absolve freedom of consequence. I hope, once again, in each instance of this that we see on, thankfully, we had a good run. We had a good run. Might have been a week. So maybe the board had gotten up to 7 days without stupidity down here. But and thank you, Dell, for pointing this out. Dell DM'd me and he's like, okay, stupidity down here. And he was right to do so. I'm glad he did. When you have morons like this, then if you're going to say something stupid, you're going to do something stupid, you deserve to have the stupidity thrust back upon you. Hutch, I hope you're right. I hope his employer gets a chance to see his public postings. They're private, by the way. The postings themselves are private. Anything that he says right now, his account is private. Why it's still active to me, like I said, and this is, once again, this is the account that, and the individual that allegedly did it, the account is linked, same handle, same name and ID plate. This is the individual allegedly that did this. It's like I said, we don't, because it's private, we can't get into the actual account. We can't see the actual messages. But whomever the individual is needs to be exposed. Idiots like that need to continue to be exposed for the idiots that they are. You don't do stuff like this. You don't say stuff like that. Oh, but I'm going to show him. I'm going to wave my finger at him and sit there and go, you're not It perturbs me no end, and that's the word I'm going to use. It does piss me off because we're better than that. Some people, however, feel compelled to do that kind of a thing. I don't know what deeply seated element in during their lifespan triggers that kind of a thought consistently, it seems. But to be able to show who these individuals are, allegedly, and have them out in the atmosphere where we can all see stuff like this, be repelled by it, be repulsed by it, and act accordingly. We all need to be better on a daily basis. But when you have idiotic examples like that, I keep coming back to the word idiot. I keep coming back to the word idiot. And when we have these higher profile examples, I think that I think it's important for us to, once again, not just let these things slide. Because if you do, it is tacit acceptance of that kind of behavior. And we can't have that. We can't have that. The social media companies, and Alex makes this point, that I can reset the counter whenever I want, which is true. Truth is that real racism comes from policies, not people being mean. Alex is all for public shaming. Don't get better by just being nice to each other. And to Hutch's point, sunlight is the best disinfectant. But you have to have, especially in the days of social media, you have to have those that are in charge of whatever device. They've got to want to sit there and put an end to it. You know, they've got to sit there and say, okay, this is bad. We'll take a stand. We will sit there, and this will not be allowed. This kind of hate will not be allowed here. If I had been holding my breath, I would have been blue and I would have dropped out of camera range a long time ago. But in lieu of that, to have these reminders about resetting the scoreboard back to zero because someone decided to be an idiot to Corey Burke. It's infuriating. But yes, to Alex's point, you've got to have folks in those controlling positions, and absolutely, Hutch, yeah. And this was kind of my point, although I wasn't very good at enunciating it. Hutch reminds us, hate drives eyeballs, meaning dollars to the site. Yeah, it absolutely does. And those individuals in charge of whatever social media platform we're talking about, they have to sit there and make that choice of going, yeah, I will take the submission as a part of my greater element and the dollars that are attached to it, or I'll take a stand and sit there and go, this will not happen here. This won't happen on my watch on this platform. Those platforms have to sit there and they have to want to make that choice. Like I said, if I was holding my breath, I would have been blue and below the camera range a long time ago to talk about stuff like that. If there had been, wishing for some kind of a change. Some folks just go and decide and go in different directions and find other platforms. But like I said, it's got to come up to those individuals in charge of those platforms to sit there and take a twist in their mindset and looking at their P&L ratio, profit and loss, and go, yeah, we've got to do something different here. A lot of folks don't do that. But, I still think that even, and like I said, it might be Pollyanna-ish, I don't know. But when you have the opportunity to expose idiots, me, I'll be the first one. I'll be one of the first ones to do it if it's thrown in front of me. I'll expose an idiot any time of day. So there you go. We rolled it back to zero. Morning O&B. You did well. You overslept. It's a Monday, so it's 7 a.m. out on the West Coast, and good to see our friends at the O&B Soccer Cast hanging out with us. And that's it for hour number one. Once again, today is what today always is. So get it off your chest. Reaction Monday, over, under, or on par. Whatever's on your mind, whatever is out there for you this morning, we'll talk about it. I want you to get it off your chest. I don't want it hanging with you. I don't want black clouds and gray skies hanging out over everybody. Just absolutely just get it all out there, and we'll discuss what's going on and whatever's on your mind. And you have, like I said, what happened overseas, Arne Slot. I cannot wait for Jarrett to come back in so I can discuss what kind of a what kind of coach Liverpool's getting in. Arne Slot from Feyenoord. And so we'll see what happens there. Sheffield United. Mike McGrath at the Telegraph referred to them as a laughing stock. Set the record for goals conceded in a season. They haven't won 2 straight all year. And even if you win all 3, you're still at the end of the season, you're still going to be bottom 3. That's not going to change. Promoted 2019 after 12 years in the championship, 2 years in the championship, came up a year ago. And Chris Wilder was brought back in after the horrendous start. But it makes you wonder with Prince Abdullah, the man in charge. He's running a very tight financial ship, open to selling the club. No new players, no splurges. Austin Trusty, Vinicius Souza, Gustavo Hammer, Cameron Archer. And so you've got a weaker club heading back into the championship, and it makes you wonder what's going to happen with Sheffield United. You had Chris Wilder complaining about sandwiches and officials. But it makes you wonder with Sheffield United, makes you wonder if they're going to be gone for a while. Are they? They might. Because remember what we've done when we've looked at our life in the championship right now, teams in the bottom half of the championship table, more than half of them were in the Premier League at one point in the last 10 years. So that is the other element in all of this for those clubs that go down. What is next for you? What is next for you? And apparently what's next for you, if you are Sheffield United, it's going to be a while. Mo Salah is expected to stay at Liverpool, enters the final year of his existing deal. He was hot. And he was not a happy man. If I speak, there will be fire. If Drew can find a quiet place in the next, when he comes in bottom of the hour, we'll talk about it. All right, let's see. I got to say hi to everybody because I have not said hello to everybody when we started off and running this morning. Morning, David. Morning, Alex. Morning, Tom. Tom says, yes, we're set at center back for the foreseeable future. Yes, and good morning, by the way. Morning, Hutch. Morning, Four Card. Let's see. Who else am I missing here? Let's see. Yeah, morning, Alex. Morning, Dell. Morning, Michael Valverde. And morning, O and B. And morning, Dell. So that's where we are this morning. So, all right. So, David says, I know we're angry about no goals, but a debut-making 20-year-old center back almost won us the game and gave up 0 shots on goal. Absolutely. And that was one of the things that with Efra, we have seen Efrain Morales grow in more than one way. And I mean this literally and I mean it figuratively. Obviously, figuratively, talk about how his game has evolved and grown over time and how he's expanded. Tony Annan thought he was a center back. Tony Annan thought he was a center back, thought the North Gwinnett kid was a center back. And as it turns out, once Efra grew into his frame, and remember, he had those injuries literally from growing. They literally were growing pains because he's grown to like 6'3", 6'4", and you see where things are with Efra right now. We went over Efra's numbers when Abe was on, but you end up with Efrain Morales, and you have David reminds us, Gregerson, Cobb, Morales, 3 years, very good defense. Luis Abram has done really well over the Luis Abram has really challenged himself, and you're seeing what Luis Abram can bring to the table. Speaking of Luis had a 7.3, once again coming up big. 7 clearances for Luis Abram over the weekend. 2 interceptions, 1 is only dual. 94% passing, 74 of 79 on 88 touches. 7 long balls in 10 attempts. So 7 long balls in 10 attempts, 7 clearances for Luis Abram. The back line for Atlanta United in this matchup against Chicago, Brad had a 7. Efra had a 7-2. Luis a 7-3. Caleb and Brooks had a 7-4. And Brooks had a 7-4 with a questionable yellow card. The yellow card that Brooks was given was laughable. Laughable. L-A-F-F-A-B-L-E, laughable. But, and like I said, I've got to go back and find out who the AR was on the near side in this match, because there was just some stuff that was just But yeah, Bart Sleesh had a 7-7. I think it was Tom that mentioned that Tiago looked a little off. An 8.6, according to SofaScore. XG of 0.38, XA, the expected assists. I didn't know that was a thing. XA is 0.78. 117 touches for Tiago. 72 of 86 on the day, 84% passing. 4 key passes, 4 of 8 on crosses, 5 of 9 on long balls, 2 big chances created, 1 shot on target, 2 off, 8 successful dribble attempts in 10. Hit the post once. 11 of 15 in his ground duels that lost the one in the air. Fouled twice, 1 clearance, and a tackle. That's a busy day. Like I said, I don't know what SofaScore does to get the ratings they get and what their system is based on, but that's a lot of work for Tiago Almada, and he punched in 8.6. Okay. So, but yeah, Tristan had a 6.8. Tyler had a 7. Saba had a 6.7, and Gigi had a 7.2. The bench, for the record, Edwin had a 6.6. Daniel Rios had a 6.8. Dax McCarty had a 6.7. No Jamal, no Shonday, no Derek. And then you had Firmino and Brennan drop down to Bridgeview yesterday, and that match was on the network. And Atlanta United 2 lost 2-0 to Chicago Fire 2. Chicago Fire FC 2. Javier Armas brought down David Paraba inside the area, and Harold Osorio puts it in the back of the net in the 40th minute. I said 39th. It was 40th, I think, officially. It was 1-0 at the break. And then Atlanta United kept chasing after it, and it was all hands to the pump. Javier Armas ends up at the back. You bring in Alan Carlton. You bring in Kareem Tamimi. And it was interesting. Formationally, personnel-wise for the formation, it was interesting as they were chasing after an equalizer. But Amari Glasgow at 92-20 just rifled it in the upper corner. And Burner couldn't get to it at full extension. It hit the underside of the crossbar, came in. So Atlanta United 2 loses 2-0. And now they've got 2 home games. Friday at the Fraction, it is NYCFC 2. And then after that, Wednesday, I believe it's Carolina Core. So 2 more home games, one this Friday, one a week from Wednesday with Atlanta United 2. You'll hear all those matches here on the SDH network. So very, very busy time for us here at the network. Let's see. Hutch, a mediocre team, barely able to maintain a middle of the league position in the standings. Let me get to the standings while I'm thinking about it, and let me find out where Atlanta United is. I know that they would be in the play-in game right now. They would be in that 8-9. But, like I said, once again, it's how many – we're barely at the 20% mark. Well, we're at the quarter pole. Atlanta is 12 points ahead of Montreal. Right now, they would be the last team in. They've got a match in hand, and they're a win out of 5th. So 3-3-3 across the board. 9 goals, 9 goals allowed in 9 matches, 13 scored. So now it's focusing on a very intriguing and tough Minnesota team coming to town here in short order. Let's see. What else is on folks' minds? Hutch's solution is making animal noises. Okay. David's Magpie fans had a good result. Gunners fans, too. I know that Bart was celebrating St. Totteringham's Day, and that's where Bart was when discussing his beloved Arsenal. And Tom is not going to expend any more mental energy in Gonzalo Pineda. We know what he needs to do, and will be gone if he doesn't. 4-card moving on to the other United. No need to revisit Chicago. And yes, the tracksuit Sean Dyche is now 3-0. So, yes, 4-card. Crisscross Applesauce was the banner. That was the banner behind the plane. And so Tom is like, and remember, this is another thing to think about when it comes to the window. Is it another DP or is it another U22? That's the question. So Tom is like, unless Silva comes back and really turns it on, see a move for a left winger in the summer. Michael says the coach does help establish the mentality. Feels like the team lacks the level, confidence, and clarity needed to win. Coaches build the vibe, and our team vibe feels off. Hutch, winning against actually contending teams is what I use as a metric. Haven't done that this season. And then discussing what was up with Chip and Abe. Hutch's dog gives the stink eye if the phone rings or gives me a notification while we're out walking. Absolutely true. I will discuss with the boss when this phone decides that it is going to make a noise. Like if you plug it in, even if you plug it in for a, if you plug it in for just, charging, and it makes a different noise than it would otherwise. So the rowdy dog down here makes an absolute point to sit there and just bark at any noise that is not normal. If he hears the phone ring, he'll go nuts. If he hears the if he hears the doorbell ring on a commercial on TV, then he'll go off after that. So you'll end up with any kind of noise that is not normal. He will respond to it however it might be, but any strange noise. And if he wants to go out, not like Chip, where Chip was yelling at the top of her lungs, the rowdy man will take a lap around the room, and he will be at the edge of the chair, and he'll look up at you, and then he'll get on his hind legs and climb on the chair, and he'll be like, bruh, time to go. Shake up at the NFL today, according to The Athletic. Matt Ryan for the pregame show, and they're not bringing back Phil Simms or Boomer Esiason. So we'll keep an eye on that, but that's your news. Sinead Farrelly has announced her retirement from international soccer, so she's done playing for the Republic of Ireland. That came out this morning. Let's see if there's anything else going on in the news element of things. Not quite yet. But, yeah, dogs, stink eyes, notifications, all those kinds of things. Let's see. Dell's fun battery fact for the day. Nick Markanich has scored more goals himself so far this year than 18 USL Championship clubs have as a team. Trenches of Lower League America, Orange County finally played like they thought. Oakland Roots fired their head coach after losing 2-0 to Switchbacks. Wow. And the Battery and Lou City dropped 6 goals on each of their opponents. David, he's not negative toward Derek or Abram. Both have acquitted themselves very well this year. I think, David, I think you're spot on when it comes to the back. I think that when you have, and we always talk about it, why you assemble the roster depth that you do, because you've got Open Cup, because you've got Leagues Cup, because you could get injuries. The back, you're good. Just trying to figure out the left and how that's going to look when Caleb Wiley goes away on international duty. Is it Ronald Hernandez at the left? But right now, center back, it is Abram. It is Derek Williams. It is Steon Gregerson. It is Noah Cobb. It is Efren Morales. You are 5 deep right now at center back. Nothing to worry about at center back, and that's it's nothing new for this club with all of the folks that are desired internationally. That's why I refer to this place as center back U, is because you bring up a Noah Cobb, you bring up an Efren Morales, you have a Luis Abram that probably could garner interest in Central or South America if desired. You've got a Ronald Hernandez that's a part of the discussion who can give you stuff at right back, right center back, left back, what have you. So that's why folks have academies, and I know that Chicago Fire is a different group. The Loons are a different group. Fire has academy. The Loons do not. So when you have a team like Minnesota, they have to build a way other than Atlanta United, but that's their choice. Atlanta United has chosen to build doing both. where you bring in talent, yet you build from your academy. You can get the high-priced scoring talent internationally. You can get all of that high-priced talent. You can find that. You can find the 16, 17, 18-year-old striker scorers, 3D imaginative Vulcan chess players. Those you can find on the world stage. For Atlanta United, they have been building from the back. Vicente Reyes goes to Norwich. Rocco Rios Novo goes to USL Championship. You have George Bello leave to go play in Europe. And I'm just talking numbers. I'm not talking success rate or anything. This is sheer availability of folks going to other places coming through the Atlanta system. You have a Philip Goodrum who's drafted here, goes on to USL Championship to become a goal scorer. Atlanta chooses to go through the draft, to build through the academy, and find the high-priced talent. Minnesota has no choice. They have to do things a certain way. That's just how they're wired. That's how they're wired. But with that, with Atlanta United building the way that they build, finding the talent that they find, you have these positions, specifically at the back, that are solid. And then you continue to build from there. You find Tristan Muyumba in Ligue 2. You find Bart Slisch at Legia Warsaw. You bring in Thiago Almada. We know that story. Stian Gregerson, Gigi Jorgis Giacomakis. You find him overseas. You fight a J-League team to bring him here. Saba Lobjanidze. You go to the Turkish Super League for a team toward the bottom of the Turkish Super League. So it's coming at it from a bunch of different ways. From the back, you're building from within. In the attack, you bring in the talent that you have your scouting system for. So some folks build in a bunch of different ways. Atlanta chooses to build from within and from the outside. Minnesota does not. That's just how it goes. And right now, once again, Atlanta is showing that when it comes to building talent that helps you out the back line, they're hitting. They're hitting 7s and 11s each and every time they go to the table. And that's really fun to see. Memphis won match number 2. El Paso's still winless. That man, after that first month of the season they had. Abby's back. Good morning, Abby. The AR sucked. Did not call at least two. Called 2 improperly, at least. Well, you had the one save, and then there was a foul, and then Brooks's yellow, and so at least 2, probably more like 4 or 5. So that was out there. Plug for the O&B soccer cast. Thomas Among, Orange County missing the sitter of the year. Actually, sitter of the year might be Nottingham Forest and Chris Wood. Might be Nottingham and Chris Wood. Alex would like for Thiago not to drop so deep so frequently. Maybe he's just looking to touch the ball. Maybe Gonzalo's asking him to do it, but I wish he stayed higher. What you're seeing there, Alex, is Thiago helping out defensively. And you're seeing Gigi come back defensively. You're seeing Thiago come back defensively. Hell, Saba's running 7-8 miles a match. It's a part of the dynamic where if you help out defensively, then it's the opportunity for more bodies to go chasing after, creating pressure, creating a turnover, coming back down the other way. That's why Thiago, that's why you see Thiago and Saba and Gigi, they're all coming back to help defend. And there are times offensively where Thiago does start from a deeper starting point. And what you are doing there is, among other things, you're drawing the defense further forward. It's like, oh, there's Thiago Almada. I have to go mark him, but he's playing deeper. But my assignment is to go after Thiago Almada. What you're doing is creating space for others. So it's twofold. Thiago helps out defensively, But what he also does is it creates opportunities for others in that space that he is vacating. So you've got, Saba when he'll come from right to left and he'll work into the middle. You've got, Tristan when he wants to come forward. Caleb if he wants to come on an overlapping run or an underlapping run. What you're doing, you're drawing folks closer to you. It's like if you're Tiago and you're up there the entire time, everybody knows what your playbook is. But if you drop Tiago back, A, you're helping out defensively. B, you're drawing the defense forward. So you're giving more space for left wing, Caleb, Saba, Gigi, Tristan to create going in the opposite direction. So it's twofold when that does happen. Dell went to watch the game Sunday. Oh, yeah. And Dell did a public service announcement where Dell was watching the game Sunday, and Apple shows the thumbnail in the upper corner. So for those of you that didn't see Dell's tweet, he went after Apple about showing the score on the thumbnail sketch. 120,000 impressions. And folks actually were liking what happened. Abby. Players just need to get the ball in the net. Crossbars last few matches. Sometimes why wait until 10 feet from goal? If you got a shot, freaking take it. Waiting for the perfect shot is not to our benefit. But yes, she did talk about Chris Brady being fabulous as well. Yeah, and, all of the – yes, Dell, I was going to get to that. All the talent you can creatively finance. Just ask Los Angeles and Messi and friends. And we do have – it's been a while since I was able to do this, but I'm actually going to do this because news that has drifted its way out of the Premier League this morning. Here's that the Premier League clubs have agreed in principle to a spending cap. And this is going to anchor spending to around 5 times TV revenue of the bottom club. City, United, Villa voted against. Chelsea abstained. Not a surprise, but I would have thought that other clubs up top would have voted against it as well, like Arsenal and Spurs. But if Spurs are having financial problems right now, that might be the reason that they didn't. A spending cap for the Premier League. Details from our friends at 90 minutes. 16 needed, that's what they got. Raised amid fears that bigger clubs in the division have developed an unfair advantage and will be designed to ensure those earning huge sums from competing in the Champions League remain on a level playing field to the rest of the teams in the league. Specific details have not yet been finalized. This will be discussed at a meeting in June at the all-hands-on-deck meeting for front offices. Importantly, it's understood the cap will not impact any current levels of spending. Teams will not be required to reduce their current wages. Last year, City boasted a league-high wage budget of £423 million. Agent fees of $51.5, also the highest in the division. No real surprise there. So they've agreed to it. They haven't signed any paperwork to it. But now what? 16 teams disagree, or 16 teams agreed. Three decided to vote no, and Chelsea abstained, I think because Chelsea knows that they might be in trouble if they do it. So, agreed to a spending cap tied to the lowest team in the league. I still think that, yeah, they might have agreed to it, but until everything is signed, you get them to sign on the line, which is dotted. It ain't happening. So there you go. There it is. So Hutch, Joseph used to come back and defend regularly. That is true. And then thing about Joseph, the knee injuries kind of kept him from doing all that kind of activity. Yes, and Hutch, a new race for the points deductions from spending cheating begins in the Premier League. That is absolutely true. Chelsea's not the lowest team in the league, but they probably have the largest deficit right now. Yeah, so nothing really changes. Yes, Yeah, and this was the point that, Tom, and this was what I read as well. Tom pulls the quote. Importantly, it's understood that the cap will not impact any current levels of spending. Teams will not be required to reduce their current wages. So, yeah, you've got Manchester City at 423. They don't have to change anything yet. But it does make you wonder that it does make you wonder just when this would come into play, when this would be approved, and what it would be like if something like this does get approved. You know that Manchester City is going to go in kicking and screaming. And then once the guidelines are set, I'm sure that the clubs that voted yes, that are toward the top of the table, Arsenal, Spurs, they're going to look at this and go, what? They're going to go, what? So, yeah, just because you've agreed to it does not mean that it is set in paper and that it's all been signed and everybody's all happy camper about it. So, yeah, you've agreed to it. Sure, we'll agree to a salary cap. But when? I don't know. But Hutch, once again, pulling Saturday Night Live. Never mind. Yes. Dell, this was interesting. Dell wants to know when Manchester City's going to court. And Richard Masters was asked about it at the Premier League, and he came up with an answer late last week. And it's like the scene at the end of Romancing the Stone when the shootout is happening and Danny DeVito's character is trying to escape with his cousin on the boat. And the cousin. And Ira's running off down the pier. Vamonos, muchachos! And he runs down the pier and he hops into the boat. And Danny DeVito's trying to get there and he can't get there in time. And he falls down on the pier. And he's going, Ira, when are you coming back? When are you coming to get me? Soon. How soon? Very soon. That's what this sounds like to me. You got the clubs running down the pier to the spending cap boat. And the Premier League itself is like, when is this going to happen? Soon. How soon? Very soon. That's where we are. That's what I think anyway. Yeah, just because you ran to the boat and you're sailing off into the sunset does not mean that you are coming back to get Ralph and save him from the federales. And Alex, that's one of the best music videos ever. Billy Ocean, great song. So, so this just reminds me of that scene in Romancing the Stone. When are you coming back to get me? Soon. How soon? Very soon. That's what's going to happen with the spending limits and the spending cap in the Premier League. It is Romancing the Stone's ending all over again. And then you'll end up with the Qataris on wanted posters, or maybe Richard Masters on a wanted poster for not being able to properly administer spending caps and fees in the Premier League. So, yeah, they've agreed to something. It's not on paper. They haven't signed it. So God knows when it could be implemented, and God knows what the levels are. And, yeah, so I don't see how the clubs that are making it into European football are going to sit there and say, you know what? I think we are going to tie ourselves in a revenue way to Sheffield United, Burnley, and Luton Town. I don't quite see that happening if you're Manchester City. If you are QSI, you're going to sit there, you're going to look at Turf Moor, which seats what? 14 people? You're going to tie yourself to Kenilworth Road, which seats what, I think 12,000, and that's after the expansion when they got into the Premier League and the $12 million of renovations just so you could have television. You could have proper television representation. So I don't quite see teams agreeing to that. I just don't. I really don't. You look at, let's see, going all the way down, let's see, Bramall Lane, 32,702. Depends on if there's 32,702 there to look at it. City Ground at Nottingham Forest is $30,576. You have Burnley, 21,401 at Turf Moor. Then you got Kenilworth Road. Where's Kenilworth Road? Down in here somewhere. Luton, 10,356. So I'm going to tie my revenues to stadia that are 10,356 and was it 21,401? And then you have Bournemouth, who's mid-table, who's 11,464. I'm going to tie my revenues to a stadium that with a club, with its 10,356. No, I'm not. That is not going to happen. But if it's TV revenue, it's still also weighted. So if I screwed that up and read right through it, yeah, there's like 5 separate deals when it comes to, you've got Middle East and North Africa. You have Middle East, North Africa, you have America, you have England. Specific details of the cap have not yet been finalized, discussed at a meeting in June. Will not impact wages, will not impact the current wage structure, linked to the lowest amount of money earned in television rights by one club in the division. So, and the thing is that it's weighted. It literally is the amount of money that you also get is weighted to a certain degree as well. Like if you're the bottom, all right. So let's do this. So TV revenue, Premier League, because it's a weighted scale, if I'm not mistaken. So, all right. So no, I don't want statistida. Okay. So World Soccer Talk, June 2023. Manchester City. Prize money and broadcasting revenue, 22-23. $210 million for Manchester City. You finished last, you get $159 million. That was Southampton. So Southampton creates a gap of $59 million. That's like picking up Jeremy Doku. So it is a weighted scale. If you finished first, 22-23, Manchester City got $210 million. And then each team gets progressively less. It's only a couple $1 million each time. But there's a big difference between finishing 20th, Southampton, $159 million in TV revenue, and then Manchester City, who got 210. So you're looking at all of that. Yes, Hutch, send them all baseball caps with spending emblazoned upon them. That close to compliance as they get. Yeah, so you're tying it to $159 million from the 22-23 season, but you won. You're getting 210, but you're having to spend $51 million less by comparison. So it's just odd. It's TV deals are same for all clubs. It might encourage better revenue sharing for TV deals, but you know that the clubs aren't going to. They're going to want to stick to the old system because success gave you more money. Why should it be more even-handed across the board if for all of this time that we've had the Premier League TV deals and I've won and I've won and I've won, and it looks like Manchester City might win for the 4th time in 6 seasons, that if I'm getting $800 million in the years that I've won the Premier League, why would I settle for something tied to $640 million if I finished last? That's where I think that the teams that are always in that big 6 or the 6+2, I don't know why they would want to sit there and go, I'm not really looking forward to it. And it is, Alex, it is a rising tide all situation. It really is. He says TV revenue makes more sense because even if a bottom club is negligent and a mess, you don't have to look at their books, just what's being distributed, which isn't even in their control. Dave, it sounds like it's also possible the bottom teams clearly don't get Champions League or Euro League TV revenue, right? Tom, so what's the approval process, or where does this go from here? It goes to the big GM meeting, for lack of a better phrase, the all general managers meeting. All the front offices get together when the season's over, and then they're going to vote on it here. But it's like, okay, what's the levels going to be? Are we just going to throw everything in the pot, and then we're all making less, or the teams at the bottom end up making more, and the teams at the top end up making less? I don't know why, if I'm a team at the top, I would want to make less money at anything. I don't know why I would ever want that. Hutch, or if you're an upper management, why have bonuses tied to performance? David, all this sounds super until they stop winning every Champions League trophy. Wait, yes. Yeah, it's true. I did not, Dell, see the Soccer Don tweeting the Revs for their highest attendance in soccer, 65, it's like 65-12 or something like that. And I did captain Messi, but I still lost in the fantasy this week. But when it comes to this Premier League deal, it makes you wonder, like I said, why if it's being tied to TV revenue, why, if I have been for all these years been getting more than the others, then why would I sit there and go, yeah, I'll vote for that. I want to make the same as Sheffield United when it comes to TV money. There's no impetus to I mean, yeah, you're going to succeed because of the money that you spend otherwise. But why would I want to surrender $51 million to the pot because of the new rules of engagement? I know, yeah. So, like I said, they've agreed to a spending cap, limiting the cost of transfers, wages, and agents' fees. But agents' fees are horrendous. And the fact that Manchester City spent £51.5 million on agents' fees, when you bring in all this high-priced talent, yeah, of course the agents are going to be the ones who win. Just ask Jimmy Sexton. Sign players and coaches to the large contracts, who wins? The agents. Jimmy Sexton, hell, he wins all the time. He wins all the time in these situations. It's always going to be the agents winning. And Dell, it was, you know what you've got right there because of Messi, 65-12 at Gillette, or whatever they call it now. I'm just going to call it Foxborough. I don't use Gillette razors. But yeah, 65-12 with Messi and Caleb Porter. Did you guys see this? Caleb Porter, in kind of a peremptory strike before the match, players for New England were apparently fighting like the flu or food poisoning or both. So Caleb Porter, already going into this matchup, is already sitting there saying, "Oh, he's got a built-in excuse for getting thumped. A built-in excuse for losing the way that they did." Yeah, we had players that were fighting food poisoning. Legitimately, we talk about hot seats. We really do. But legitimately, how much patience are the folks in New England going to have with Caleb Porter? You're at the quarter pole. You're giving up an average of 2 goals a match. You're giving up 18 goals in 9 games. You're 1-7-1, and you've only scored 6 goals this entire season. You are dead A last in the Eastern Conference. Dead A last. 4 points away from Nashville. And Nashville drew San Jose, and that was not compelling television. Nashville's given up 17 goals in 9 matches. 1-3-5. But I just wonder, it is. I mean, Alex, it is. It is Shooter. It is Shooter McGavin's. It is Shooter's music. It was funny. I was doing the high school show, and Shooter came in spewing Caleb Porter fire like he always does during the high school show. I was a little mortified about Shooter dropping his standard vernacular about Caleb Porter while I was discussing Soccer's in Session. And by the way, that's at noon. Soccer's in session at noon Eastern. And there at noon Eastern, we are going to break down the brackets and get you ready for the girls' quarterfinals. Girls' quarterfinals today. All across the state. All the girls are playing today. All the boys' quarterfinals are tomorrow. We are in Jefferson this afternoon and tonight. It is Northgate and Jefferson in Jefferson at Jefferson Memorial Stadium. And Maddie, Jason, and I will be there for you for that one. Kickoff of our coverage a little before 6:30. Kickoff at 6:30. All the boys are tomorrow. We have Dalton and McIntosh tomorrow on the network a little before 6:30 for that one. All the quarters for the girls are today. All the quarters for the boys are tomorrow. Wednesday, they have off. We'll try and catch up with winners on the boys' side for Wednesday's show, and then we'll do it again Thursday, Friday, turn it into an open party line at noon Eastern. Any coach that wants to come in can talk. That's the idea with Soccer's in Session Live, presented by our friends at Kaiser Permanente. Yes, Alex, you did. You did a wrestling reference, and it was absolutely fantastic. You absolutely did. So, Soccer's in Session, noon Monday through Friday for another week. And then we'll get you ready for the championships. Maybe Monday, Tuesday next week, we do Soccer's in Session Live, trying to catch up with coaches who've made it to the final matches of the year in their respective championships. And then we'll send everything over to the NFHS network, or maybe just go to McEachern, Duluth, and Mercer and watch the matches themselves. Do that. Be there in person. And but, yeah, it's been great. Thanks to our friends at the GHSA for letting us come in and crash and do all of the games that we've been doing. It is – wait, how many matches have we done? We did – Perry was 30. Did we do any other matches after that last week? Perry was the one. Yeah, Perry was Thursday. We didn't do one on Friday. So, yeah, by the time our broadcast schedule is over, we will have done 34 separate matches. We would have had 34 match days in different locations around the state of Georgia. And we will have gone to places like Sonoraville and Calhoun and Perry and Winder Barrow and Johnson Gainesville and Alexander and River Ridge, Mill Creek, Lambert, Gilmer County, Calhoun, Gainesville, Parkview, McIntosh, Chambly, Dalton, North Oconee, Brookwood, Villarica, Sequoia, Sonoraville, Winder Barrow, Johns Creek, DeKalb, a couple of places in DeKalb County, Riverwood, Denmark, Stars Mill, Johnson, Gainesville, McIntosh, Decatur, and then the playoffs where we got to go and hang out at Perry, and we also got to go and hang out at North Gwinnett. So 30 match days so far. We'll finish our season with 34 separate match days and get you ready for the playoffs all week long. Soccer's in Session coming up at noon Eastern here on the network. Ropes has been with Hillgrove the entire time. We're trying to catch up with Shannon Center. And Shannon apparently has told us that they will be on a bus. The head coach of the Hillgrove Hawks, they are on a bus in 7A as they are heading low left in your brackets to go play Buford. And I sent an email back to Shannon, and I said, Shannon, during football season at GPB, we have folks talking on tablets and phones from their buses. If you can do it and you want to swing it and you feel comfortable, go for it. We'd love to have it. So that's what we might be having here on Monday and Tuesday, is coaches crashing and coming on whenever they can come on to talk about whatever they want to talk about. So that's where we are. So very, very cool stuff here as we wrap up our high school coverage. Our coverage of the USL will kick back in the championship, League One, NWSL, all those episodics that we have during the season. Those will pick back up in short order after the high school championship, so you'll get caught back up on everything going on in the world in USL Championship, USL League One. The Jägermeister Cup started this past weekend, so that's going on right now in USL League One. That cup competition started. So we're going to have all this stuff happening here on the network. And if you missed it, once again, promo time, the Sunday set piece. It was a chance for Jason and Tyler to catch up with one another, because if you missed it yesterday at the barbecue event down at down in Stockbridge to help out the Georgia Revs, very, very cool thing there. And so it was great for Jason and Tyler to catch up about soccer in the Southern Crescent and how things have continued to grow there as well. So if you missed it, it's on the network, and it will be it's a really cool show. They went at Sweet Auburn Barbecue. They talked about Atlanta and Chicago and the soccer infrastructure and what building the mini pitches like they did down in the Southern Crescent with the Southern Crescent Soccer Federation, but building that kind of a mini pitch and their value and being able to play. And we've been able to kind of catch up with folks and just kind of spread the word about these kinds of things. Abby says she's done stomping on new sod after watering after 6 a.m. Public service announcement from Abby. If you're in the supporter section this Saturday, get there to be a part of the TIFO. Get there to be a part of the TIFO. Hutch. Atlanta United, moment of AU positivity, improved on set pieces. Yeah, and I think that once again, I think that when you have folks like, well, first off, I would maintain that once again, because you got the opportunity to have the players that you brought in the summer be there for a full preseason and understand what the ideas are and how to execute and all these kinds of things. And then when you bring in taller folks like Ephra and Steon Gregerson and Derek Williams, and you end up with someone like Bart Sleesh, and Daniel Rios, who I think was missed a close one going up against Chicago. Yeah, I mean, the improvement is there on the set pieces too. So and I think that, and once again, offensively and defensively, I think that it's been there for Atlanta United this season. So definitely, I think you're spot on when it comes to Hutch. I think you're spot on when it comes to set pieces and the improvements that are there as well. I'll tell you what. Yeah, let's do that. All right. So Bart might be coming in from the real world. So we'll do some quick reffing down here before we go. Let me get Bart linked in here, and there are a couple of moments I know that I want to talk about, and a lot of it has to do with ARs. So, ARs, goodness gracious, yikes, Shaggy. So there's plenty to play with. So, one of the things that came out of the weekend, now that I'm thinking about it, having to do, yes, alternate reality. Very true. We'll have to remember that one, Hutch. I like that. One of the things that was intriguing, to say the least. I want to know what the review process is for Hutch's alternate reality. Because when you have a situation, when you have a situation like what we saw with an AR, what's the review process now with this new deal with PSRA and Pro? I mean, that's a question that I'm putting out there into the ether because I don't have an answer yet. Bart's dropping in.
Hello.
West Virginia volleyball. He's going full non-revenue this week.
Yeah, sorry. Let me get my microphone set up. This was quick.
It's quick.
Yeah, West Virginia volleyball. Back when I was playing on our men's club volleyball team, we volunteered a lot as ball boys for our women's.
There you go. I lost you. Speak for me. Turn up. Turn it up. Turn up your volume.
Yeah.
Turn up your volume.
I am. Boom.
There we go. Give it to me. Talk. Let me hear it.
Definitely better. All right, cool.
There we go. Keep it coming. There we go.
All right.
Hi. You specifically had the real world intervene. The real world is intervening with your Monday appearances. Do they not know?
No, they don't. And we had just had a discussion actually to move the said standing meeting to not Monday morning. So
see, this is how this goes, man.
And I didn't even have to bring it up. So I was like, oh yeah, we should definitely do that.
It absolutely should be done. But I know that there were some reffing down here moments that stuck with you. And specifically, one of the things that has stuck with me is that with the new deal involving PSRA and Pro, I want to know, and sadly, I don't think we will know, what the review process traditionally is at the end of a calendar year. Because when we have the how do we phrase this? The interactions or lack thereof with center Fs and ARs who seem to be missing things blatantly. I want to know specifically domestically what the review process is, or are we evolving into a true union shop where it is going to take basically an act of Congress or you retiring on your own before there's any kind of repercussion? That concerns me about the new deal between PSRA and Pro because of the wording that we had experienced earlier, where it seems like it's a closed shop and there are folks that really deserve chances that we saw early in the season. And they ain't doing any poorer than the folks that are in there now.
Yeah, I think that was something that the replacement refs, to give them the nice term, did show, is that there are some referees who deserve shots at this level. And again, as we have talked about, there are two groups within Pro that have their own deals within certain levels of the professional game. So the ones that we deal with on a week-to-week basis are the highest level. Then you have Pro 2, which is for lower level USL, League One Championship, and some of the USLW League and leagues like that. So there needs to be a pathway to move from that to the highest level of Pro. We see some in NWSL. For example, Tori Penso is one who probably you could point to who has graduated from the NWSL ranks to full-on MLS ranks. But yeah, I'm with you that, there are some referees who don't get the job done all that well. But to be honest, there are a lot of referees who don't get assigned every week either. And, we kind of saw that in the game that we had this past weekend of a pretty inexperienced crew working together and getting a lot of things that are just easy mechanics wrong.
Yeah.
To be nice about it. And not that there was, I think I was listening to Jarrett on the post, the full-time report, and it's not that they didn't affect the game as like an outcome, right? But they did affect how players, just generally had to interact with referees. There was so much confusion or lack of confidence from players to the referees. And I don't really know who's to blame for that. I don't think that the center official had a great game.
Yeah.
But I also think that his ARs did not help him very much at all.
How the hell did Brooks Lennon get a yellow?
Yeah, I don't know. I think the issue is the referee probably thought that Brooks was for some reason like either I don't know why he would think he was wasting time at minute 46. I mean, we just had kickoff of the second half.
He's not wearing another jersey from Major League Soccer.
Abby, if you're going to get mad about a corner kick that wasn't called and you're saying that is the only reason Atlanta United didn't win, then you know what? Continue to support Gonzalo Pineda in his quest to not make a home playoff match. That's fine. But at the end of the day, those little things don't truly affect the outcome of a match. And yes, they messed up on a goal kick or a corner kick. They gave Brooks Lennon a yellow card for who knows. I mean, it's for delaying the restart of play, but like that wasn't his intent by any stretch. He was trying to actually restart the play pretty quickly based on how he ran over to get the ball to throw it in. It's those things though aren't truly affecting the overall match. You know, maybe Brooks Lennon's yellow card is a little more impactful on the match than, you know, say a missed goal kick or corner kick, or like we had several times not knowing who was getting a throw in at the certain you know, points in time. But those things aren't affecting the actual outcome of a match, but they do affect the way that players can play. But again, if we're looking for excuses if we're looking to the referee to excuse away Atlanta United not winning on the road, then every ref who's refed an Atlanta United game since like August of 2023 is at fault. So, but it was bad. It was a bad performance from the referee.
Yeah. Philip Dujic was the man in the middle. And I think he only had 4 other appearances so far this season in the 5 or 6 weeks that we've seen.
But John, if you remember, we talked, I think Friday, that he does tend to give out a lot of yellow cards.
Yeah, he does.
And so that was one that I thought with Brooks, where it was like very quick and didn't take any time. Like he just ran over and gave him a yellow card, even though Brooks was, you know, that's a scenario where you can just kind of separate the two and be like, hey, Brooks, it's not your, you know, hey, it's not your throw in, it's theirs. Get on with it. But, you know, the fact that the Chicago player is able to just push him against the boards, you know, I don't think a hockey referee would even allow that. But,
no, well, I mean, it depends on if it's late in the third period and your game is tied and you don't want to have something like that. You just send it straight to, you want to go straight to free hockey at that point. And this was something that I experienced in the matchup with the Twos yesterday. And like I said, and once again, it could be a situation where, you know, you're looking at officials who aren't used to the speed of the match or what have you. But there were 2 moments where you had one where a Chicago Fire, I almost said Philly, a Chicago Fire 2 player comes in from behind and basically cleans out an Atlanta United player. I mean, literally, it just comes from right behind and just takes a forearm and just cleans right out. And nothing was called there. And then there was another instance where you had 2 Chicago Fire players and 2 Atlanta United 2 players, and they were trying to defend. And the Atlanta United 2 player, one of them, bumps the Chicago Fire 2 player from behind. And I guess out of the corner of the other player's eye, he saw him go down. And so you wait a beat, and then they both go down. And it was the idea of physical play and letting it go, and then play acting, for lack of a better phrase. When it comes to physical play and levels, I guess is my question for you. And then obviously needing communication from your AR for something that you don't see. Yeah. Those are concerns, obviously, that I think we all should have on a match by match basis when it comes to where are these individuals when it comes to physical play? Are they even handed when it comes to giving out their cards? Philip Dujic apparently is not, or at least he was not this past weekend. So physical play and what you allow and what you don't seems to be something that we can keep an eye on here as well.
Yeah, and I think my biggest issue with a lot of referees at my level, even at the grassroots level, is they say, oh, well, I just let them play. And to me, that is them acknowledging that they're not super confident with what they think their level of physicality and where they want to draw the lines for fouls are. And so when I hear, oh, I let them play, I hear, I don't want to call fouls because I'm not super confident in my ability to be consistent with my whistle calling fouls. Now, I let players play in the sense of, and I try to communicate this, and this is what you want at a professional level, is to say, yes, I saw a foul, but you have an advantage, right? And so that's where we say play on. But a lot of referees just swallow the whistle. But I would not say I let them play. I say I call the game according to what it needs to be called. And that's the other thing is we've talked about this how many times, every game is different, you know. Every game has different factors, different variables to it that are going to dictate how you call a game, or maybe not necessarily how you call it, but how you manage and adjudicate a game, you know. But again, I think that's one of the issues that you're going to have at the MLS Next Pro level is referees are finding out what feeling out, maybe is a better way, feeling out what they want the game to look like, what fouls they want to call and what fouls they don't want to call, because it's something that you have to, as a referee, see. And that's one of those things that from a highest level, the league and the professional referee organization of that league work together to say, this is the type of game we want to see. These are the things we to allow, we don't want to allow. And I'm concerned that at the MLS Next Pro level, you're not getting the quality of referee with the experience that is needed to give you a super consistent match, both within the match and from match to match.
Okay, hydrate for a moment. I'll come up with my next scenario here. In the Manchester United match with Burnley, we had a moment late where Burnley was on the attack, down a goal, and Andre Onana comes out, and you have Wan-Bissaka, Casemiro, Onana, and Amdouni for Burnley, all kind of converging into one space. And Onana comes out over the top of everybody and ends up, as he's trying to punch clear, basically clean out Amdouni. The referee initially does not give the penalty, but VAR says, hey, come over, take a look. You get a penalty call. It ends up being an equalizer for Burnley, and that was how the match would end at 1-1. So Andre Onana coming up over the top, being physical, and in his pathway, I guess, and trying to punch clear, makes contact with Zeki Amdouni, and they end up calling a penalty on VAR.
Yeah, I don't love the idea of re-refereeing through VAR, but I do think this is one of those where I'm a little disappointed in the referee crew to not get this correct initially on the field, because I think when you're looking at what happened with this particular play, it happens a lot in the field. It's not just the goalkeeper and the attacker running together. There's other players involved. And so oftentimes when you have two defenders on one attacker, and in this case, the goalkeeper is a defender, we have to look at it a little bit that way. You're going to get yourself into trouble as defenders when you start sandwiching an attacker. And I think that's ultimately what they looked at. They also want to look at, when does the contact start versus when does the goalkeeper punch the ball away? Because obviously the goalkeeper makes contact with the attacker before making contact with the ball. That's still not allowed. You're not allowed to just kill someone and then say, well, I got the ball. And so I think they ended up getting it right. I just think, again, the issue is we're kind of re-refereeing through VAR because, it's not that the referee missed it. Like, this is a play that the referee should be able to see in live action. But I do think eventually this was the correct call.
And there were a couple of moments as you would eventually celebrate St. Totteringham's Day. Are we going into the Arsenal match and discussing?
We can. I think that there were a lot of controversial elements to the match. I think so. We can talk about it for a little bit.
Okay, so I will give you a choice. Trossard on Kulusevski. I will give you Mickey Van de Ven on a disallowed goal. I will give you the possible penalty of Declan Rice's challenge on Ben Davies. So of those three, as you would eventually go and celebrate St. Totteringham's Day, which would you like to discuss?
Well, just from the top, I think that Declan Rice, again, that's probably a call that should have been called on the field. But I also remember watching it live. It looked like to me, it looked like Rice got the ball first and then his follow-through hit the attacker. So I don't know if Michael Oliver had the same thought, although he was a lot closer than I was watching at a bar on a TV. So I would hope that he had a better choice. But as soon as you saw the replay, it was just like, oh, yeah, that's a pen. So I don't think that's a really controversial. I mean, they got the call right. Like, that's a penalty. Mm-hmm. The Van de Ven offside is one that I think a lot of people were complaining about. And again, I just go back to the fact that, yes, I don't love drawing lines, right? Mm-hmm. But at the same time, offside is a yes or no, right? If you are in an offside position, you either are in an offside position or you are not. It's the same thing as the ball is either in play or it's not in play. This isn't a matter of, oh, was it a foul? That I think this is not a judgment call. These are physical spaces. This is what is and is not. And so from that offside angle, and you'd have to draw the lines, unfortunately. But as soon as you saw the replay put up there, you go, oh yeah, he might be out. He might be offside. So that was an issue there.
All right. So then let me give you one more, and it involves Anthony Taylor, West Ham and Liverpool. This was 85th minute. West Ham gets a corner. Gravenberch shoots. Areola catches the ball. Cody Gakpo's pressuring.
Yep.
Taylor identifies it as a foul, signals for play to continue as Alphonse Areola had control of the ball. But Areola, as he has control, goes down awkwardly. And then he goes to hold his ankle, and Cody Gakpo is checking on him. And so then Areola wasn't looking at the ref as advantage was signaled. So Areola thought he had a free kick, and it looked like it was obvious. And then Taylor played advantage, no free kick. Gakpo would have been within his rights to put the ball in the net. So what about the idea?
I mean, look, I think this goes back to the Arsenal Bayern Munich thing where they're like, oh, well, it was a goal kick and they took it. It's just like, we got to have some level of just like common sense here. Mm-hmm. If you apply the laws of the game directly every single time, you're going to have instances that cause more confusion than if you don't apply the laws of the game literally every single time. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And this is one of those cases you're like, oh, no, wait a second here. That's not what happened. And just taking that set. Because, again, I think that at the end of the day, you're going to be more mad if you literally apply the laws of the game in a situation like this than if you're going to allow things to just kind of like be bent a little bit. And again, similar to what we saw with, the Arsenal goal kick where, oh, well, it was a goal kick. They took it. And it's like, okay, yes, but also no. Let's not be so caught up in legalities that we're not allowing what is right to happen.
Yeah. We got a lot of them this week when it came to the Prem, but you got to celebrate. What is the update here with Soccer for USPOD now that you got to parachute in toward the end of the day here in your traditional Monday spot?
We are recording either tonight or tomorrow night a podcast about the She Believes Cup / just Twilight Guild Wars legacy as interim manager. Mm-hmm. And then also what we're going to do about Serginho Dest missing Copa America, because I love the way that the Scuff podcast put this. Like, personally, as a fan, this is a big loss.
Yeah.
Because he's fun to watch. Yeah. But it also is not good for the team. But, personally, I'm sad I will not be able to watch Serginho Dest in person come July 27th, because he's a very fun player to watch.
Well, thanks for parachuting in for a little bit of reffing down here. Make sure that everyone there in the Casa de Bart is okay, first and foremost, because
we've had the spring the allergies are affecting the sinus passages. That's going around this apartment for it's like, oh my God, we're trying to double up on the allergy meds, and that's just not working. There's just phlegm everywhere.
Yes. Hang upside down and make sure that everything is okay.
I know.
And
trying to get that right angle for your pillows to sleep so the drainage happens, but then you have to actually also be comfortable.
Correct.
It's a tricky situation, John.
Yes, it is. I am quite aware. Bart, as always, my friend, thanks for dropping by for a bit of a 78 RPM version of reffing down here on a Monday, and looking forward to the next edition of Soccer for USPOD. Be safe, my friend.
Y'all be good and enjoy a marvelous Monday.
Marvelous Monday, where we had some reffing down here. Get out of here. And there goes Bart. Okay. Wiley, before we go. Good morning, Wiley. Wiley thinks that Landy, and what I would ask Wiley when you say, and this is stuff we can talk about this week, when you say they're a mentally weak team, that I want to know what you mean. Just more detail. I know that, we can say things in a sentence or two, and I know that we're trying to get into the Twitch pitch, but I want to, and you're not the only person that has mentioned this in the Twitch pitch and other places, but when you say mentally weak, I want to know what you mean. But Wiley says, on paper, looks like it should be good, but the season conspires to make us maybe slightly better than average. Paper Tigers, just tired of the infinite loop that goes like this. Players are hurt, players are back, going to be great. Players are back, need a little time to play together. Someone gets hurt, repeat. It's just that we've been hearing the same thing since 2020, and I know it happens to the other teams, yet they seem to find a way, and we can never find a way. Just very frustrated. Yes, and Morales did great. Love seeing that. Yes. So, Abby, enjoy your Mindful Monday. So, I want to know, because like I said, Wiley, you're not the only one that said this, but just more detail in what you're saying about being mentally weak, because that's something that is more than just a sentence. So I'm looking for more detail in that. So we got all week to expand and expound. So we've got all week to talk about it. Minnesota coming to town on Saturday. NYCFC 2 coming to town on Friday. We have a lot of activity with the high school game. Soccer's in session live at noon all week long. Tonight, a little before 6:30, from Jefferson, Northgate and Jefferson on the girls' side in the quarterfinals. Tomorrow, boys' side, Dalton at McIntosh, a little before 6:30. Looking forward to both of those matchups in short order here as we get you ready. Quarterfinals, Monday, Tuesday. Semifinals, Thursday, Friday. Next week, championships on the NFHS network. It'll be Jason. It'll be Maddie. It'll be Jess. And speaking of, you might, if you go to McIntosh, you might see somebody that I just talked about. So it's going to be Jason, Maddie, Jess, Jarrett. I'm trying to think, who else am I missing here? There's going to be a lot of SDH influence in the championships this week, next week in soccer in the GHSA. So that's what we're staring at. So Wiley adds to it. Hutch is practicing gratitude, manifesting abundance. Wiley says consistently losing leads, consistently hearing mental errors mentioned in the post game. Kind of the first examples that come to mind. Okay, that's what I'm hunting for. So, like I said, we'll keep talking about it. Put a bookmark in that, and we've got all week to get into it with Minnesota and NYCFC 2 coming to town. All right, so you know what's happening at noon. Know what's happening at 6:25-ish. And you know what's happening tomorrow, once again, 9:05 at noon, 6:25-ish. So before we go, what to watch, where to watch it, what to go with gossip, rumor, and innuendo. So we'll do all of that before we go. Then we'll get into what to watch and how to take part. All right. Crystal Palace fear that Mark Gahey could leave this summer. Manchester United and Arsenal interested, £55 million rating. Victor Osimhen will leave Napoli in the summer. Chelsea, PSG, likely destinations. That's from Gazzetta dello Sport. Dortmund will try to turn Jadon Sancho's loan move from Manchester United into a permanent. Fabrizio Romano. United considering the club future of Erik ten Hag, which could help their case in bringing Sancho back. Liverpool bracing themselves for bids up to £150 million from clubs in Saudi Arabia for Mo Salah. Netherlands defender Lutschorel Geertruida could leave Feyenoord alongside Arne Slot to join Liverpool, spotted in the stands at the 2-2 draw with West Ham. Lewandowski wants to stay at Barcelona despite interest from clubs in Saudi Arabia. Juve Roma interested in Charlie Patino from Arsenal as currently on loan at Swansea City. Lucas Paquetá says he's very happy at the club. Amid speculation, he'll join Manchester City, meaning he's happy at West Ham. Arsenal, Liverpool, United interested in Brighton's midfielder Carlos Baleba. Leeds want to sign Nat Phillips, who is currently on loan at Cardiff. United and Chelsea could be competing for Denzel Dumfries from Inter Milan. Thiago Silva is linked back to Fluminense, and he had a tearful message to Chelsea supporters on social media. Everton may have to sell Jared Branthwaite to comply with FFP, opening the door for a move to Manchester United, three-letter paper. Arsenal have entered in talks over a new contract with Gabriel. Arsenal and Dortmund interested in Barcelona's 18-year-old midfielder Brian Farinas. Blackburn won up to £20 million for Sami Samadzic, with Brentford, Luton, Sheffield United all interested in the 28-year-old. That is from the three-letter paper, and that is the gossip, rumor, and innuendo overseas today. Now, what to watch, where to watch it, and how to do it. Let's see. Where is it? Soccer on TV. All right, so soccer on TV. It is ESPN Deportes at 3. Barcelona, Valencia, that'll also be on the plus. Liga MX Femenil, Juarez and Monterrey at 11 on Fox Deportes. 2 to NA, the U20 Femenino Sudamericano, Peru and Venezuela is at 5. Championship, Preston North End and Leicester's at 3, along with Barcelona Valencia. Paramount Plus, Serie A, Genoa, and Cagliari is at 2:45. And so, Wiley, once again, before we go, it is also don't think we have a player out there who will get an appropriately timed yellow, maybe Gigi. Sometimes you need somebody out there to help the team focus. Probably the best examples, Parkey, Larry, and LGP. I don't think we had anybody out there who does that since then, and that's quite all right. Voice to speech. It's all good with the punctuation marks. I think I've got it handled. No worries, Wiley. Thanks for dropping in. Thanks for dropping in on a Monday. All right, that's Monday. Coming back 45 minutes from now. Soccer's in session. We'll go through the brackets. We'll see what coaches want to drop by, and we'll see what's going on. We're turning it into a party line this week. All week long, well, Monday, Tuesday, on match days. Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday. Any coach that wants to drop in can drop in, and it's all good. Dell, thanks for coming by and reminding me of Stupidity Down Here, because we've got to continue to show it and talk about it and make sure that, that it's always out there for folks to sit there and see and not duplicate. All right, so that's it for everybody here. Tomorrow, back at it. Oh, before we go, once again, shout out to our friends at Georgia Impact. It was great to see them on Friday for the roster reveal and for the jersey reveal. And when Maddie comes back on, maybe she'll be wearing her Georgia Impact jersey. And I'll show you what's up. But a great time up there with our friends at Georgia Impact and the WPSL at Reformation Brewing up in Canton. And their season starts before we know it, coming up very, very soon. We're going to have some programming that'll introduce you to the WPSL, keep you posted with the WPSL all season long, keep you posted with the NPSL, and we will be all over all of that. Alex, before we get out of here, is linking to the Today Show. Should I be worried? Anne Hathaway and Nicholas Galtazine. Yeah, because they got apparently a big surprise from Arsenal's Leandro Trossard. And Anne Hathaway is a big Arsenal fan. And so apparently Anne Hathaway is now overcome after having a shout out from Leandro Trossard on the Today Show. So that's very cool because, she is a massive Arsenal fan. And so now she's shaking. In the video, it was the 30-second video that they released because she's got a new movie with the Nicholas Galtazine, The Idea of You. And so, of course, shout out from Leandro Trossard to Anne Hathaway. That's cool. And the fact that she was kind of starstruck with Leandro Trossard, that's pretty funny. All right, back in 42 minutes now. Once again, soccer's in session at noon. We're going to go for a while, talk to coaches getting ready for their quarterfinals. And then once again, a little before 6:30 is the matchup tonight on our Mixlr app and at soccerdownhere.mixlr.com. Thanks to all of you guys for coming in on a Reaction Monday. We'll do it again tomorrow. Get Tuesday thoughts. And Tuesday, tomorrow, traditionally is wide open. What I might do is open it even for coaches that are in transit during the show. And if they just parachute in, they parachute in. And so we'll see what happens there. So we might open up tomorrow's show to high school coaches who are traveling around the state, getting to their quarterfinal matchups. And there are some that are really having to travel on the boys' side. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to sign off for now, then come back at noon. We're going to do Soccer's in Session live, talk to coaches, get you ready, do brackets. 6:30 tonight, a little before. Girls' side, getting you ready for Northgate and Jefferson. So for the 9th time, I'm signing off. Go in peace, my friends. I agree with you, Alex Wiley. Thanks for coming by. That is SDH for a Monday, a Reaction Monday. Thanks to Abe Gordon for dropping by. Thanks to Bart for parachuting in for a little reffing down here. And because it is the end of the show, mucho plati, I'll play it safe. That means I get to do this. See you at the top of the hour for Soccer's in Session Live.